Today I fucked up by drinking $600 worth of booze. I lost my uncle this past fall. He was the odd duck of the family and I loved him very much. We had lots in common. He introduced me to many of the things I love to do. He was a high-paid lawyer and was terrible with money. The rest of my family is poor, so I grew up hearing tales of his monetary misdeeds. For example, he used his bonus one year to buy a condo in Key West only to lose it because he didn't pay his taxes. He was so bad at adulting he never had a phone line for long because he'd forget to pay the bill. So his company gave him a cell phone that they paid for, unheard of at that time. The company he worked for loved him for his work. There are many other stories, but on to the today I fucked up. I asked by my mother if I wanted any of his books from his summer bungalow, not as grand as it sounds, more of a higher-end trailer park. You own the house, but pay a lot fee and get to have a beach house with on Long Island but not pay 1 meter plus for it. I could not let books go to the dumps, so I went with her with a ton of bags and filled my truck. She told me to take anything I wanted or else it will go in the dumpster so the place can be empty when they sell it. Most of the non-book related stuff was junk. I found some great pictures that I kept and a few other odds and ends. One of those odds and ends is the heart of the today I fucked up. It was a smallish red box with a brass plaque. It has a small bottle of booze inside. I should have known it was not a normal bottle of booze because it was in a glass case with some other beach-themed bric-a-brac. So fast forward last night, I pull out the box and after a hard day, I think I'd give it a try. I'm not much of a drinker. I'll have a glass of scotch every few months, but that is about it. No beer or wine unless I use it for cooking. My lack of experience with alcohol comes into play here. I sit down, get out 2 glasses, one for the wife, it's good to share, crack open the case, and pour us each a little taste. That first sip was when I knew I had fucked up. It was way too smooth, like zero burn at all. I finished my glass but the supply's glass, spoiler, it's not glass, stopper in the top to save the rest for later. As I'm sitting there letting the warmth radiate out from my belly, I grab my phone to see if I can find more of this excellent booze. I think I've just added one more thing that I can accredit my uncle for turning me onto. I just drank a $600 Louis XIII cognac. I start freaking out. Frantically search hoping to find out that please God let this not be what came up on the search. Yeah, nope. Even the empty crystal bottle and case sells for over $100 back on eBay. There are so many things that I would rather spend $600 on than a drink. I even had a nightmare about it last night. And that's how things went when you were my uncle. A $600 bottle of booze hidden among the junk. Thanks for one last wild ride, uncle. Too long didn't read. Drank what I thought was cheap booze, which turned out to be the most expensive drink of my life. I think this is a fantastic way to remember your money handling challenged uncle. Would you rather look back in 10 years and remember whatever bill you paid off with $600, or to look back at the time you inadvertently joined your late uncle in one last frivolous waste of money? Honestly, I wouldn't sell something like that. Anyway, especially if it had been a late family member's. I'd keep it in a display, most likely, and I'd much rather drink it than sell it. Remember that time I had $600 extra? Doesn't feel quite as satisfying as remember when we drank a $600 bottle of alcohol, especially when you're sharing it with someone you love. It didn't cost you anything and you enjoyed it. Your uncle would have seen the funny side. Not a $600 story. But my parents had a wine tasting. Since my dad knew the guy from university, he left all opened bottles with us. The next day my mom made some goulash for lunch and something strange happened. We, the kids, started to actually compliment my mom's cooking. Germans, no comment is a praise here. She was confused and went back into the kitchen to chest. The bottle she pulled from the stack of 20+ samples was a so-called ice wine, only harvested on the first day with sub-zero C temperatures in the morning, resulting in an extremely sweet and expensive wine. No exact known price, but my dad did swear but liked the meat also. Ice wine is a dessert wine. While a bit more expensive than wine from the same vintner, not by a huge amount. I am guessing a full bottle would go for $50 to $80 for most vintages. Doesn't sound like a fuck up honestly. By the sounds of it your uncle would have much preferred you to drink that instead of selling it off. Velp might as well enjoy it now. But seriously, how was that? I'm 100% sure my palate doesn't have the experience to judge it. My main takeaway was the zero burn that I normally get with the scotch I drink. Edit, not wooden. Today I fucked up by being vegan and possibly giving my family botulism. I am vegan. My husband is not. For New Year's Eve we ordered a giant box of Mediterranean food that was mostly vegan with a few non-vegan sauces for the husband. Last night, I was looking to use up the last of the non-vegan garlic sauce. Since it's only a few days old, I figured it had to be fine and mixed it into my husband's portion of spaghetti. As hubby takes his plate to the TV to eat, I hear him in the other room going, "Oh God, oh God." I think, damn, he really likes it. Until he marches back into the kitchen announcing that it was bad, off, no good. It tastes like chemicals, he says. I take a bite off his plate, because that's what people do when something is bad. The militant vegans will probably be here soon to tell me that this single action probably took out a big section of the Amazon and killed the last forest fairy, but anyway, I still think it's fine, but except for these stolen bites I've been vegan for a long time, so maybe I can't tell anymore. We dump his plate, throw out the rest of the sauce, feed him off of my portion of dinner, and resolve to have ice cream later to make it up. Except something is nagging me. After I finish my dinner I go back to the garbage can and pull the sauce out. It's kinda bubbly. I can jellies and vegetables sometimes and start freaking out. Oh my God, I just ate botulism. I call out for husband. My vision is graying. I am having a panic attack. We live in an urban area. Hospitals are at capacity with COVID, and I just gave us botulism. Husband tells me to calm down as I'm taking off my sweater and pants to get maximum airflow on this rolling ball of overheating anxiety attack. Botulism doesn't taste bad, he says. I challenge him to show me where an authority says that something that tastes bad can't coexist with botulism. I decide while he's doing that I'm going to return to the arms of my teenage fling with bulimia. After I'm done hawking up enough mangled spaghetti and bread to convince myself that that cursed stolen spoonful of botulism must have come out too, I clean up and rejoin my husband. He says, "Show me this sauce." So we go to the fridge, in which I've wrapped up the remaining sauce in order for the CDC to test it for botulinum when I am in the hospital with paralyzed vocal cords. My husband examines it, prods it, and suddenly sticks his finger in it to taste it before I can stop him. "Huh," he says. "That tastes good," he announces. "Something else must have tasted funny." "You'll be fine." Husband comes in for a kiss. I stop him from all that. Not only am I relatively fresh from a 10-minute fling with the toilet, but he's somehow got stuff all over his Wildman COVID beard. It looks like clear butter. Husband stops in his tracks. "Oh my God," he says. "I ate hand sanitizer." What? You see, he had to go physically to work today, which fortunately is rare, and while continually sanitizing his hands, was somehow also managing to sanitize his beard, with globs and globs of hand sanitizer. Now, my husband is not a gracious eater. Apparently, he combed his fork of spaghetti through the hand sanitizer. The spaghetti was just along for the ride. And yet, I feel like crap today. Is my digestion messed up from the animal products in that cursed bite of garlic sauce? Is my system upset at throwing up last night? Like, a lot. Do I have COVID? Do I have botulism? Who knows? Welcome to 2021, spin the wheel and claim your prize. If my Reddit account goes unusually quiet, assume I'm paralyzed from botulism after all, I guess. My husband may just have to go on through this cruel world eating hand sanitizer without me. Too long didn't read. I am a vegan who can't tell if animal-based food is safe to eat, and my husband is a caveman who thinks hand sanitizer is edible. At least hand sanitizer is vegan. That's hilarious. Jesus, reading that was a wild ride. What I got. Vegan ate a beard. Husband sanitized spaghetti. Something else. Damn, how the hell did you thought of botulism first in your mind? Like hell I would have thought it went bad because of not so fresh ingredients or something. This was a ride to read. Hope you are okay. Edit, spelling. Ha, thanks. Reason I'm scared of botulism is A, she's scary, and B, the bubbles. Bubbles are a sign of anaerobic bacterial activity, which can include botulinum. And as a canner is something I'm hyper aware of, which doesn't help. I have eaten many a thing that persisted long past its due. I have never gotten botulism. If something was bubbling and chemically tasting, I would have assumed the food got fermented. Yeah, I'll admit it, I've eaten a sauce that's sat until it fermented. Before any of y'all judge me, yes, I live in poverty. The only time I've ever gotten food poisoning was from eating at a hometown buffet. You'll probably be fine. I understand the paranoia though. Hope you feel better. Smile. Tell your beau to not put hand sanitizer in his beard, it's super drying. Lol. I was really poor and homeless at one point. I had what I like to call a scavenger diet. Basically, I was really good at finding free and discarded food. I've eaten a lot of things that were fizzing and had no business being fizzy, pretty much all canned and jarred foods. It was always gross and usually gave me indigestion, but I never got sick from eating it. I never knew what made it fizzy or if it was truly safe to eat or not. I do not miss the taste of carbonated beefaroni. I just had to Google this because I didn't know. Or anyone else who doesn't know what botulism is. Botulism is a very rare but life-threatening condition caused by toxins produced by Clostridium botulinum bacteria. Clostridium botulinum bacteria are found in soil, dust and river or sea sediments. The bacteria themselves aren't harmful, but they can produce highly poisonous toxins when deprived of oxygen, such as in closed cans or bottles, stagnant soil or mud, or occasionally, the human body. There are three main types of botulism. Foodborne botulism, when someone eats food containing the toxins because it hasn't been properly canned, preserved or cooked. Wound botulism, when a wound becomes infected with the bacteria, usually as a result of injecting illegal drugs like heroin contaminated with the bacteria into muscle rather than a vein. Infant botulism, when a baby swallows a resistant form of the bacteria, called a spore, in contaminated soil or food, such as honey. These spores are harmless to older children and adults because the body develops defenses against them from about the age of 1. Today I fucked up by sitting too close to the fire to escape hell. TL/Doctor down the bottom. Note, maybe not suitable for arachnophobes. So this happened about 10 years ago in Australia, just outside of Jindabyne, NSW. We were all around 20 years old at the time and were looking forward to letting loose a little. A group of about 10 of us went on a trip to a holiday house in New South Wales mountain region. It wasn't cold enough to snow, but the nights were pretty crisp, so we pulled up an old outdoor barbecue and proceeded to build a fire. As it usually goes, the size of the fire continued to grow, and we were all nestling into our positions around it for optimal warmth. Then a couple of the boys came back from a wood hunt with a big branch that was pretty fresh, about 3 to 4 meters long, and it requires 3 people to lift it. Then they placed the heavy end on the fire, and we sat down to watch it catch. It was a fairly slow process because the fire wasn't really big enough for the branch to catch quickly, and there was a bit of smoke due to the big chunk of bark wrapped around the end in the fire. Once it began to catch, I scooched my seat a bit closer and bathed happily in the warmth. At this point someone said, "What the fuck?" And another shouted, "It's breathing." As he pointed at the huge piece of bark which was now literally breathing in and out against the branch. We could hear sizzling and we all jumped up. Then it began. One huntsman spider, big scary/hairy mofos which are basically harmless in a giant shack-like way, crawled out of gap between the branch and bark and then just fell into the fire to die. Then another, and within 30 seconds it seemed like there were hundreds pouring out trying to escape the heat. Imagine World War Z zombies but spiders. They quickly discovered they could avoid the fire by just running down the log and jumping onto the grass or going the whole way into darkness. I jumped up on my seat, as did a few others, while the rest just ran onto the concrete into the safety of the light. Soon enough the whole ground was alive with spiders running through the grass and into the darkness. I was stuck on my seat just looking around at this, waiting for it to end. But they just kept on pouring out of under the bark and either escaping or sizzling in the fire. The log was alive. Looking at the ground was like a horror acid trip, and the only thing protecting me was the old wiry camping chair I was perched on. Yet it kept on going. More spiders. The guys on the concrete were laughing because they didn't want to go into the light, and of course me and the other guys stuck in the spider sea like me were screaming and laughing hysterically. It was the end of the fucking world. After probably only 2 minutes, felt like much longer, The stream of spiders began to fade and the ones that made it were presumably making a break in the darkness for the trees while their comrades cooked. It died down surprisingly quickly because where their nest was now completely in flames and we all jumped up onto the concrete. After 10 minutes the log was burning perfectly, we were getting chilly, and there literally wasn't a spider in sight. We shook off our seats, checked every nook and cranny nearby, and after giving it enough thought, we all eased back into our positions and laughed dramatically until the adrenaline rush passed. It was so creepy that we literally couldn't find a single one of them in the grass or around us, but we figure we just had to do our best to stop thinking about it and continue drinking. Too long didn't read, sat too close to fire and I couldn't escape an exodus of large spiders, so had to wait it out while standing on my seat. Edit, whoa, thanks for the awards but please don't use your money on this. And shout out to the arachnophobes who dodged a bullet. PS. As an Aussie, I understand the fear of the creepy crawlies, but I will take seeing a deadly spider or snake from a meter away any day, over seeing a bear or wolf from a mile! Exclamation mark.